and welcome to the Learning Ladder. I've got 3 new products to share with you. These are all available from Amazon. I'll leave the links below. The first one is called All the Words, and it's to be used with vocabulary. So you've got your nameplate here for you to input. Then basically they'll write the word over here, they'll define it, tell a joke with it, because often when you can make things funny, it's easier to remember. They can draw it, use it in a sentence, so they can write their sentence here. Greek or Latin root, if it has one, they can put it. Another word I can use, so they can pick another word for it, and then make up a poem or riddle with it. They don't have to write that down. You could obviously have them write it down as an activity on a separate piece of paper or in a notebook, but it's more to, it was intended to be verbal. But obviously, you know, if you want to expand your language arts that day, then there's an option for you. And it's the same throughout. And at the end of the year, obviously, they'll have the vocabulary book filled with lots of new words that they can use when they're writing, or just generally to know. And then there's a pen test page at the back, as there always is, for you to check if you're intending to use any kind of markers or anything like that. But that's what it looks like inside. So that's all the words. Okay, the next one is the Reading Detective. This is a really chunky one. So there's your back and your front. So this is intended to be used with any kind of books that they're reading. So basically they'll start out, and we've got our contents page here. So they'll start out logging each book. So they'll write the book title, their author, how many pages it's got. When they finish, obviously they'll rate it. So there is space in this book journal for 16 books that you'll do the exercises with. And then they'll draw the book cover of the book that they're reading. They can draw and write something. You can either assign something that you'd like them to write, or they can write something that's interesting them about the story so far. They can make some book notes while they're reading of things that have stood out to them. This is a chapter one, so if they're reading a chapter book, they can write what's happened in the chapter, what their favourite part was. This is a little comic book template, so they can do a little comic book story about what they've been reading. Then we've got draw something you remember or learn from the book. Again, another blank template that you can assign something. So if you want them to actually focus on something from the story, then you can do that. Or they can pick something, obviously, that's interesting to them and take some notes and draw some pictures. There's another little template here where they could either narrate to you what's happening and write it. Or, again, you could pick your own activity. We've got another what happened in this chapter. Then we've got write about an event that happens in your book. So they could do that once they've finished. What have you learnt from the book? So we've got 2 pages there for them to write. And then for this activity, there are different ones throughout. Design a product to use or assist in the book. So they can do that once they've finished. They can map the plot. And then in this particular one, there's a research page. So they could either do the author, or they could do a character, or if it's a non-fiction, they can obviously research the person. If there are people in the story, you can obviously choose. I've left it up to you to decide, or the child to decide who they'd like to research. And then we come to the summary. So we can write our title, author, draw a picture, do our summary. Did we like it or not? We can draw the ending, what's happening, and then draw a character or location from the book. Then we can do a little newspaper article about the story. We can pick a word that we have learnt while we were reading it, a new word. And then we can do a glossary of any words from the story that were new to us or that we felt like were interesting or important. And then we start all over again. So the activities are not all the same. There are some that are similar, but then there are some additional ones. So I'll just flip through this one. So the templates are different, obviously, to allow you the flexibility and the child the flexibility to decide what it is that they're wanting to write about. If they're wanting to retell something, they're wanting to explain something if it's non-fiction. And in this one, we've got a roll of story, so they can choose character setting, second character, and problem. We've got our summary, drawing our ending. In this one, we've got a letter, so they could write to the author, they could write to a character, they could pretend they were a character from the story and write a letter. Again, we've got our vocabulary word, glossary for them to pick words that have interested them or things that they've learnt. And then I'll show you one more. So there are different activities. So in this one, you've got an animal fact file, so they could pick an animal from the book to write about. We've got to describe it, so they can use some adjectives to describe something, maybe a character or a plot or whatever they can use to describe that. In this one, they can make a recipe that they could make to go along with the story. And then we've got our summary, draw the ending, character or location, comic strip, and vocabulary word, glossary, and then we're back to book number 3. Again, book cover, and so on. So I'll just give you a quick flip through. That's what it looks like throughout. So that is the Reading Detective. And again, they'll use this to record the books that they're reading, and then also for some comprehension, lots of writing activities. So I'm really looking forward to using this one with my daughter this year. And then the last one is my story collection. So this is available in paperback and hardback. I've got the paperback one to show you today, but I am actually going to use the hardback as well because I think it looks really nice in hardback sitting on your shelf. So basically what they did, there are 2 covers. There's this one, which is intended obviously for females, and then I've got a one that's got a book cover on with all the lights coming out of it, intended for males, but you can mix and match. If your boy likes the mouse, that's fine. If your girl likes the book, that's fine, but I made the 2 options so they can choose. Then we've got 13 templates in here, and they cover both fiction and non-fiction stories. So what they'll do is once they finish, they can do their table of contents. They'll draw their book cover. So this is for them to write their own stories in, so fiction and non-fiction. The templates, you can tell the difference between whether it's a fiction or a non-fiction template. So for the fiction ones, it's draw your front cover. Then you've got pages to write and draw your story. And then you've got your back cover where they'll illustrate the back cover of their story. And then it will start all over again. And then here's a non-fiction template. So again, they'll draw their cover. This time they'll write a table of contents because it's a non-fiction story or book that they're writing. They'll write all their pages, write their story, and then they'll do a glossary of words from their non-fiction book. And again, they will do their back cover. So it's the same throughout. As I said, different templates depending on whether it's a fiction or a non-fiction story. But the best thing about this, and that's what I'm really excited about, is you'll have this as a memory for them to look back on, for you to look back on all the stories they've written. And again, it's available in paperback and hardback. So those are my 3 new books available over on Amazon. I'll leave the links below. If you've got any questions, leave them below. Otherwise, take care and I'll see you soon. Bye for now.